has shown that if you're repeatedly exposed to the phrase, the body temperature of a chicken, that's right, the body temperature of a chicken, even if no useful information is given about the body temperature of a chicken, you are more likely to judge as true this statement: the body temperature of a chicken is 34 degrees Celsius. It's not, by the way, it's actually closer to 41. But this finding highlights an important aspect of our psychology that plays a huge role in how we see the world. The things we're exposed to repeatedly feel more true. Now, the way this seems to work is through a mechanism called cognitive ease. Cognitive ease is a measure of how hard your brain is working, from easy, like when you're scrolling through Facebook, to hard, like if you're trying to multiply 14 times 37 in your head. Things that are true generally elicit cognitive ease, like fire is hot, Earth revolves around the sun, dogs have 4 legs, and so on. Not only do these things feel true, they also feel familiar, effortless, and they feel good. All of these are outcomes of cognitive ease. Now, the trouble arises because cognitive ease can be artificially created in other ways. One way is just by repeating the stimulus. In a classic experiment at 2 Michigan universities, experimenters took out ads in the school newspapers. Each ad consisted only of one of these nonsense words.
Cardiga, Sarisic, Baiwani, Nansoma, Iktitaf.
They were printed with different frequencies. One word appeared in the paper only once, while others appeared 2, 5, 10, or 25 times. The word frequencies were reversed at the other university. At the end of the experiment, researchers sent out questionnaires asking people to rate the meaning of each of these nonsense words on a scale from "it means something good" to "it means something bad." And the findings were clear. The more frequently the word had appeared in the newspaper, the more people felt it meant something good. So with enough repetition, even a nonsense word comes to feel familiar. It triggers cognitive ease and overall feelings of goodness. Songs are judged more favorably after you've listened to them a bunch of times than on the first listening. Good. This is at the core of the advertising industry. The idea that repeated often enough, even brown carbonated sugar water seems really appealing. But maybe it shouldn't be surprising that repeated stimuli are perceived more favorably. After all, our brains have evolved to identify threats. And this general phenomenon extends beyond humans. Chicks who were played a tone when they were in the egg later made fewer distress calls when the same tone was played to them as chicks. But repetition is not the only way to create cognitive ease. Images with higher contrast are perceived by the brain with more cognitive ease, making them feel good, which explains most of the Instagram filters. Videos with bad audio quality and low contrast create cognitive strain as you try to figure out what's going on, possibly searching for threats. You may not have noticed just now, but your brows probably furrowed and your mouth started to frown, which is why we prefer high contrast video with crisp audio. And the same applies to text. So which of these statements do you think is true? Well, actually, it's a trick question. He was born in 1879. But studies have shown that people will often choose the more legible answer. Nice, contrasty, bold text is easier and quicker to read. It's handled with more cognitive ease and is therefore judged to be more true. This is because the illegible text creates cognitive strain, forcing your brain to work harder, and that helps avoid the pitfall of jumping to the intuitive but wrong answer. Cognitive ease is useful for being creative and intuitive, but it also makes you more gullible. And this is a paradox of learning and critical thinking. Cognitive ease is pleasant, it is effortless, familiar, and it really does make you more creative and intuitive. But it can also trick you. It may make things seem true that aren't, and you may feel like you're learning when you're not. On the other hand, being skeptical and analytical takes more mental work. It's more confusing and it doesn't feel as good, but it's the best way to separate fact from fiction. So the key is to identify those times when more thought is required. But with sharing and repeating ideas easier than ever before, I think we need to be more vigilant to distinguish between those things that are really true and those we've simply heard many times before. The more something is repeated, the more it starts to feel true.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
But I noticed something strange while booking my Asian getaway. My plane seems to be making a detour over Alaska. Why is my plane going out of its way to avoid the Pacific Ocean? Is this a mistake? Did I accidentally sign up for the Caribou route? At first, you might think this was a safety issue. The Pacific is the largest and deepest of the world's oceans. If a plane encounters a problem over a seemingly endless and bottomless pond of water, the pilots are going to have a rough time finding a safe spot to set her down. Alaska might not be overpopulated with international airports, but it's a lot better than the middle of the ocean. How's that for a tourism slogan? Alaska. At least it's better than sinking.
Now, let me show you the real true reason why we have to fly over Alaska just to get to Asia. Check this out. Now, here's the flight pattern on a globe. The guy leaves Seattle, Washington, flies over Alaska, kind of curves around the so-called globe and lands in Asia. Okay. Now, if you still don't get it, let me break it down to you this way. On a globe map, all the pilot had to do was leave Seattle, Washington, fly straight across the sea to Asia, which would have been the shortest route. Fuel-wise, whatever you want to call it, that would have been the shortest route. But he can't do that because it's impossible. Now, let me show you why he takes the route that he takes. Now, let's have a look at the same route on a flat Earth map. Okay, here we have the United States, the west coast of the United States. Here we have Asia, which is where the guy went. Well, look what's right in between. Alaska. So if you leave here, going to Asia, guess where you're going to fly across? Alaska. Let me zoom in on the map so you guys can see just a little bit better here. As you can see right there, Alaska, right in between Asia and the United States. Now, let's put a marker on there so you guys can see it's a straight line, straight across, and Alaska is right in between. So as you can see, they don't choose to fly that route. They have no choice but to fly that route. Now, like I've told you many times before, it's really simple. Thanks for watching, and God bless.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.